stop looking at me. I don't want your looks. I don't want you watching my screen. I genuinely want to block you. As you take, what is she doing? She's looking at me in some way, shape, or form just to say that she can. You're going to get kicked out. I'm going to call the police and let them know I'm abusing you.
Some of you guys may have heard of James. Some of you may have not heard of him. He's actually been on the internet for quite a number of years, but tends to kind of fly under the radar. There's some videos about him made by other content creators on YouTube exposing his abusiveness and manipulation towards his partner. A couple of things before I get into it. Number one, as always, not in any way trying to diagnose anyone or armchair diagnose anyone or insinuate someone should have a diagnosis, just picking out manipulative tactics that we can see in the video examples that James Soroka has uploaded as an educational tool, just to be more aware of these manipulation tactics and to see firsthand what they actually look like. What does gaslighting look like? What does projection look like? What does word salad look like? Etc. Because I think sometimes explaining them and actually seeing them in real can be two different things. Second thing is that James Soroka also goes by Jimmy Soroka or Jim Soroka. So if you guys are looking him up after, although I'll post other videos from other content creators about this guy in the description, but you might need to use those names if you want to look him up. And the next point is that some of the videos I'll be showing depict quite severe emotional, psychological abuse, and it's really difficult to watch. It's hard to stomach. So if in any way that might be traumatic for anyone watching or make them feel uncomfortable, by all means, just skip this video. There's lots of other ones I've made on manipulation tactics that probably aren't this severe in terms of the examples. And if you want to check out some more videos that I've coming up, subscribe and you will get access to those. I'm going to do one on Amber Lynn. I want to do one on Eugenia Cooney. I want to do one on Amber Heard. So if that's something you're interested in, subscribe. And lastly, and probably most importantly, whether or not someone has a mental illness or whether their mental health is poor, it's never, ever an excuse for abuse. So, oh, that kind of rhymes. Never an excuse for abuse. Anyway, so there's lots of people with personality disorders, for example, and they always kind of tend to get lumped under the same umbrella of they're all evil and, you know, they're inherently evil, when they're obviously not inherently evil. You know, they've just grown as a product of their brain chemistry and their environment, either or are combined, and it's created the personality disorder that they now have. Often it's like a defense mechanism. But even so, people that have been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, so sociopaths or psychopaths or whatnot, they can choose not to engage in manipulative behaviors. They can choose to be compassionate towards the immediate people that they care about, the immediate people that they respect and that they want to keep in their lives. They can choose not to hurt them. It is a choice. And there is lots of really interesting videos actually of people that have been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder saying that exact thing. I'll link one channel of a girl that I find really interesting to listen to in the description below as well. And she's basically explaining that very thing about how she chooses to be compassionate with her partner. And she's aware she can be manipulative, but she doesn't want to do that to him because she respects him. That overrides those feelings of wanting to do that. So for her, it's a choice. So that's applicable to a lot of people with personality disorders as well, which I think is important to keep in mind, because sure, there's some people with personality disorders that will clearly use manipulative tactics. They don't want to change. They don't see anything wrong. They're happy doing that. But then there is also other people that have personality disorders that choose a different way. They choose not to do the things they know will hurt people. But obviously it's up in the air as to which one of those, I guess, two sides of the coin you're going to get, because you don't really know, I guess, until you know someone, and that's kind of the risk, or the risk that you're willing to take. And also, I suggest getting yourself a drink, because the examples in this video, they're hard to stomach. So, okay, let's begin. When I was thinking about this video, I actually thought, like, how do I even start? There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. I've watched quite a few things for this. I'd say probably about 8 hours or 9 hours in total of content. But one of them was a 4-hour long live stream that he had done that was luckily re-uploaded on a different channel. And yeah, some of it is just, it's absolutely horrific. So firstly, I thought it might be better to just give a little bit of background about who this James Soroka guy actually is. So James Soroka, he grew up on like a farm in Philadelphia, farming life. He was adopted and he actually suffered quite extensive abuse when he was a really little baby. He was adopted, I think, around the age of 3. The abuse he suffered before that, as in I'm talking a couple of months old, not even, was significant. And it was at the hands of his abusive father. Then he got adopted into this family on a Philadelphia farm. Seems to be quite a loving family, although, you know, it's easy to say that looking outside in and hearing people say that doesn't mean it's true. But from what we know, it seems to be like a loving, supportive family. James's adoptive dad died when he was a teenager. This had a profound effect on James, and the family would say that after this event happened, his behaviors got worse. They were bad before that, and it was highlighted to everyone and people had tried to help him. I'm not going to get into the whole story of it because that would actually, it would be quite a bit. But if there's interest in it, what I'm thinking of doing after this video is actually making a video about his background and Caitlin, his partner's background, to understand basically why someone might become an abuser or a manipulative person and why a person might end up in a relationship that's abusive and stay there. Let me know if you've interest in that and I will do that in the next video. But sorry, back to the story. So that had a pretty profound effect on him. His behaviors got worse after that. Like I said, though, they were bad already and his family were aware of it. He started to sell the furniture in the home house, basically, and that was kind of like the last straw because it was just his mom left in the house. All of his other adoptive brothers and sisters had left home and, you know, they had their own houses. And basically this all kind of came to a head and all of his adoptive brothers and sisters kicked him out. They said, don't come back here. You know, you're just, we never want to see you again, because of how he was treating the mother. And, you know, selling all the stuff, taking money, I think stealing from her, all sorts of things like that, just causing her grief. But they basically knew she would never kick him out and she would never turn her back on him. So they came together, pushed him out. So that's kind of a really brief snapshot of his history. James's partner is called Caitlin Suzuki. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. She was quite young when they got together. It was actually hard to find an exact age, but I'm guessing she must have been 18 or younger. There's a 5-year age gap between those two, but kind of the earlier reports of them being together I could find was when she was 19 and he was 24, 25-ish. And I think at that time they'd already been together for a while. So I'm not sure what was happening there. And also, I should say, there is also reports of this guy sending like illicit pictures of himself to underage girls, minors like 12 to 14-year-olds. So that's gross. Caitlin came from a family that seems to have parents that are quite controlling of her. The mum in particular seems to engage in some of the manipulative behaviors that we see James engage in, not as kind of brazen as James does, or as severe, I guess you could say, on the surface, but there's definitely some of that going on, which makes sense as to why she would be in a relationship with James in the first place. There's lots of videos and text messages and stuff from her mum that are available online that I could analyze in terms of the relationship, so that could be quite interesting. So I think we can start to get to the manipulation tactics now. It's kind of dark, so I'm going to turn a light on. Oh, that's made me look like I have a tan, which is great. Okay, I need a drink. Let's do this. For the new people here, you may not actually know what all of these manipulation tactics are that I'm going to discuss. They are discussed in previous videos, so if you need more examples, check those out. But the first one that we're going to discuss today in the context of these examples is projection. Projection is essentially when the manipulative person or abuser projects their behaviors or how they feel or think onto another person and accuse them of doing this thing or feeling this way or thinking this. So it can be really confusing for the victim Because often the victim will be insightful and reflective, and they will want to fix the situation, and they'll end up apologizing for something that isn't them. They didn't do it. They actually had nothing to do with it. They're taking responsibility and taking accountability for something that the manipulative person has actually done, because the manipulative person can't take accountability for anything themselves. They have to project it on to other people. And then the victims end up believing these projections and internalizing them, and it starts to kind of erode at their self-esteem and their sense of self, their feeling of worth. It can be super detrimental to a person's mental health. James Soroka projects so much, and it's just so outrageous, his projections. I can't. I can't even speak. In the examples you're going to see, you'll see a lot of projection in terms of James accusing other people of being a psychopath, of being a sociopath, of being a narcissist, of being really manipulative, of being super abusive. Basically everything you can think of that it is evident that he is showing the behaviors for. So he's showing narcissistic type behaviors. He is clearly being manipulative. He, will often tell them, oh, you need help, you need psychiatric help, I should section you, and all of this sort of stuff, when in reality he is the one that needs help. Something isn't right with how he's interacting with people. Right, so I'm gonna play a few video clips. Good luck.
There's always going to be people who want exposure the most. Well, here's what I can tell you. Caitlin definitely wants exposure far more than I do. Because she wants the attention. She wants all of her family to notice she's here. She wants everyone's story to be her story. She wants everyone involved in her, just like I used to be, right? That's exactly where I used to be. You can consider this distasteful. You can consider this whatever you need to. But I know for the adults out there who have undisciplined children, I feel like I'm raising a child now.
Katie wants me to be a good man for her while she's a bad woman for me. Fuckface? No. You're told no. Uh-oh. What are you going to do, little kid? I said no. That's the only thing that happened here. No manipulation. No craziness. For the first time, a man in your life has told you no. That's what she's doing inside right now. A man told you no.
Sane enough to realize that fans are fans, haters are haters, and that's the name of the game. Because Katie, look at your face. You can't look at your face when you're looking at me. I don't look crazy. Do I look crazy to you? Katie, to me, you do. But you're not crazy. But you are acting inappropriate. And like a child. Now you're not trying. You're forcing, right?
The guy you can see in these photos is named Josh. You're going to hear a couple of examples of projection involving Josh, but I explain who Josh is in more detail during the next manipulation tactic. But for now, all you guys need to know is that he was a roommate and friend of James Soroka, and I use the term friend very loosely. From the pictures alone, you can see the effect of meeting and having James in his life. His physical health looks like it's deteriorated massively in the second picture. He's pale and gaunt. Looks like he's lost quite a bit of weight as well.
Our internet was down, so it was going in and out. And I had used all the data on my phone, so I didn't have anything. So it would go in and out. Then because I could still do stuff on Instagram and everything, so he contacted me on Instagram, and we were talking. And I told him what happened. And he waited, and he told me, well, he couldn't believe that because how could I be talking to him if my internet was out? I said, that doesn't affect that. So then he was like, well, I should know that I need to get help because I'm a psychopath, and I tried to kill him and wanted to ruin his life.
It is official. I am now out of 2 toxic relationships.
Josh, you don't deserve that attention because you want negative attention, and you're 43. All right? We're growing up now because I need to eat, and nobody gets in the way of me eating anymore. Not even your false paycheck.
What is the greatest risk here? Risk 1, I try to go get a job, and then my haters get me fired, and then I can't sustain an income, and then we end up homeless anyway.
I thought the last example there was really interesting because he actually projects not to anyone in his immediate environment, but to haters. Like what? That every time he gets a job, haters, stop him from keeping this job conveniently, and he has to quit. You know what I mean? It's insane. So he's projecting the fact that he's losing a job. It's his responsibility. He can't take accountability for that. He can't take responsibility. So he's putting that on to these haters and blaming them for him losing his job. The next manipulation tactic that's really evident in basically every friggin' video this guy uploads is gaslighting. Gaslighting is the process of distorting a person's reality so they start to doubt themselves. They doubt what they believe, they doubt what's happening. Sometimes they can even doubt their own sanity and actually think they're going insane. Gaslighting is particularly insidious, and it can have really devastating effects on the person's well-being, as you can imagine. The purpose of gaslighting is to, again, just kind of confuse the person. They don't know what's happening and they're unsure of what they're doing anymore. They don't know. And again, they just kind of have to take the abuser's word for it, because they just don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Their head is just like melted. And the main victim of this is Caitlin, his partner. Again, it's just like, it's shocking how continuous, how relentless the gaslighting is. It's non-stop. And you can see, or you will see, in these clips that her face, like when he starts to go, it just looks blank, and it kind of feels like she's just like, oh my God, I'm just going to have to keep nodding and saying yeah, and hoping that it's going to end. And at times you think, oh phew, she thinks like, oh, this is over now, and you can see she starts to smile again, and then immediately boom, he goes back into it and her face drops. It's really hard to watch. You can only imagine what that is doing to her as a person, her sense of self, her esteem, her confidence, her value, her worth. Years of that. This is kind of what I mean with this type of abuse, that it's so hard to explain it in words, how that would feel. It's almost impossible. It's inexplicable unless you've experienced it. And the irony is, often when you're in the abusive relationship, you don't even see it for what it is. So you can't even properly see that you're being abused. Not all the time. Sometimes people are aware, but not everyone is. And because of Caitlin's history and her relationships with her mother and father, she probably isn't, because this is the type of thing that she's used to. She's used to these kind of power struggles and people are trying to control her. So for the first example of gaslighting, you'll see that James had asked Caitlin to write down a sentence for some reason or another. And she wrote down the sentence as he had said it. And then James says, oh no, that's not how I asked you to say it. And makes this big, massive deal about this sentence that she'd written down because it wasn't the way he specifically asked her to write it. Even though Caitlin is like, that's what you said. Well, I don't understand what's happening here. And then he just turns it into this really bizarre thing, and it just goes off on this crazy tangent and into something massive over something ridiculous, really.
Yeah, I wrote.
You proofed it for yourself. You made sure
sorry.
you're involved. No, I don't mind.
I wrote. My handwriting is a bit sloppy. What's something? Okay, this is gonna apply only to the. Anyway, only to some people. What is something? Well, I guess everybody got. What is something unique you've experienced during childbirth?
How do we rephrase this? This is why when I asked you to write down a question, you just write it down what I said. Right.
That is what you said.
It's not, and it's not. And if the way we write it down, if we change it, we can shift it. You and I can shift it together, and that's okay. But like if I say, like, hey babe, can you write this down? Like just write down what I said right
what
down.
You said.
It's not.
I must have really bad hearing.
No, it's not bad hearing. You had a lot of pride, and you wanted to write it down your way. Yeah, you do it all the time, and now we're having an argument on live stream because I'm not going to let it go because it just makes me look bad. I'd rather be an a-hole than be paranoid.
I'm going to trust you.
I'd rather look paranoid. It's not a matter of trusting me. You're willing to admit it. We're not on screen. Are we going to do this live? I'm doing it live. I'll do it live. And that's not abuse. That is me being done, taking everyone else's crap, including yours. I am done.
Okay.
I will tell them what I'm going to tell you. Because I will break up with you.
Okay.
I am finished. being lied about, being lied to, being lied for by everyone else. I'm an honest guy, and I'm standing up for myself, and is the only thing happening here. You're a good liar.
I will admit that I do things like that sometimes, and if I did it this time, I don't consciously remember it.
Kate.
But I believe that I did it.
Kate.
Yeah.
You're a good liar to most, but the people who know, they know. And I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to move on with our...
Talk to people.
She's not acting. She's trying very hard not to act right now. This is the society that we have created with our traditional jobs, with our traditional education, with our man-driven, women-suppressed society. Because it's not grooming. It's not manipulation. It is regular life.
Because that's what traditional, quote unquote, traditional women do. They screw over the man while the man tries to screw over the woman.
And she doesn't believe she deserves to be equal. I told her she wasn't, so what did she do? She listened.
In your own words, before you mock me like a parrot to make fun of me because you think it's funny, but you're fucked up. Tell the truth or get the fuck out of my house. Yep. Look like it. Go ahead. You compose yourself and let me know when you're ready to be an adult and not look like a fucking abused patient that you're not. Because this is a conversation between two adults on screen. You don't see an attacker when you look at me. People feel bad for you. They want your pain to end or your life to begin. And they're ready to choose for you. But nobody can choose for you because you're an adult!
Because at this point it's complete insanity. There's no point in even blocking everybody. Just let it go. Because you officially have created so much chaos that they now here are going back and forth trying to fuck with us. You've created that, not me. I told you very simple things about our future. You're afraid to share them. That they're trying to create. You have to listen to me. Not just pretend to hear me. I lived it. Go ahead, have a breakout. Go ahead. Here comes the cops. Crazy train for you, okay? Abused little girl. Crazy man. You don't need to tell me that. You need to tell yourself you're not crazy. I'm not crazy. I know that. They're not crazy either. They're very smart. Smart enough to mess you up. I'm not your troll. You should see your face right now. You just look like a frigid evil person. You do not look convincing at all. You don't look abused. You look real, raw, angry, and evil. Did I mention that one? You're not. You're not. I know. I'm telling you how you look. Not you. I know. You don't have to tell me that yourself. You just have to know that you're good. You're good. But look at every couple of hours you're going to have this repeated process. This is psychosis. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. We literally cannot talk about a plan without you having a breakdown. I made you my enemy, and I'm sorry, but you made me your enemy too. Are we done being enemies? I'm sorry. We can get no work done. This will be our content until the next breakdown, which will be yours, which I will then have to expensively pay for because you have no health care. But hey, you're worth it. Because if you haven't noticed, I am done pandering to liars, thieves, abusers, and manipulators. Yeah. Because I'm not that one? Nope. But you're still trying to be. You're waiting for their approval. You already have it. You already have their approval. You can hit me. Just somebody just said, you can hit me and get away with it. It's true. Go ahead. No. It's not appropriate. No, it's not. Not on screen or off screen. But you think the moment the screen comes off, it's okay to behave however you feel like it. Kate, I know it's not. I know it's not. But I also know I'm not responsible enough to be alone with you because you are very, very manipulative. And I'm not anymore. You are done putting me in a position of control where you get to abuse me like your father in his privacy. Fuck you. You can say fuck me too all you want, but that's all you're doing is trying to fuck me. So fuck off. Or grow up. Because I deserve better. And you're going to do better, you're going to be better, or you're going to fuck off. And join all your poor asshole friends who are crazy motherfuckers who want their pills, their welfare, and their Walmart food. Got it? Laugh all you want. You think I'm sabotaging myself. I'm not. I feel bad for them. So I'm going to give them a life that they can be entertained by because I care. Well, you just shit on me like they do. You deserve to be poor. If you don't want to deserve to be poor, stop acting poor. Do you understand? You are emotionally secure, pretending you're not. It doesn't matter what you're showing. I see you. I know you. I already know who you are. In your head. You want to jump? She wants to bounce up and down like a kid. You're going to do it on live stream. She's finally going to have her fit, her childlike fit on live stream. Guys, let's wake up. That's not me being abusive. Go ahead, take every piece of my surrounding and call me abusive. Go ahead. Go ahead, judge me by my clothes. Judge me by my apartment. Judge me by my past. Wake up and realize that she is being a child. And that is it. It is the only thing happening here is that a full-grown adult is acting like a child. And I am intentionally acting like a child to prove to her what she's doing. Because that's not abuse, that is love. But Katie just wants to have a fit, feel better, and then everything's okay. No. It was okay before. You made it bad. Then you pretended to make it better. And then you feel better because you're selling yourself your own feelings, which is completely psychotic. It is psychotic. Medication worthy. Institutionalization worthy. Stop telling them you need help or go get help. Because I'm not here to help you lie about your bullshit anymore. Because I have no more bullshit to sell to them or you. I'm done. But fuck you if I'm going to work at Walmart. Throw me away. Put me in 5 walls. Because normal people have 4. Put me in 5. It's not funny, Kate. It's not fucking funny. Why the fuck do you think that's funny?
Something's gonna happen.
So why laugh at an impossibility instead of focusing on taking seriously the only possibility there is?
You didn't forget. You're just afraid they won't talk about it. You could have just said, I don't want to talk about it. You genuinely didn't remember?
I didn't remember.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about something with food.
Do you want to tell them now that I look like an idiot? I made myself look like an idiot. Will you save me?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, just when we were looking into options for extra cash, they say, like, oh, you can sell your eggs and then you can make lots of money. But I looked into it, and it is definitely, if you're doing it, it is definitely more than just for money. It is an act of love because you have to inject yourself with all these hormones to make, I forget the exact terminology, but things in your body like swell up so that they can harvest the eggs, and it's painful and it messes with your hormones, and it's a really beautiful thing to do out of love, but it's not for me.
Katie.
Yeah.
You're really going to have to learn to stop lying because you were destroying people with what you just said. You know you lied just through your teeth to protect yourself from people. And you just hurt a lot of people. So we're going to go ahead and shut down.
I would personally not do it because I don't think it's right to put your body through that.
Katie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go tell people the truth. I'm gonna have a conversation with people about the truth. You know what? You can lie at college. Okay? You go lie at college. Say it's because I put you on the spot. Did I make you uncomfortable? Or did I start talking about something that's comfortable to talk about? If you weren't comfortable to talk about it in private, you shouldn't have talked about it in private. Or in public, you shouldn't talk about it with me in private. Because if you haven't noticed, my life is pretty much public. And I have every comfort to talk about the truth in public. And if you plan to just talk about the truth in private and then lie to them in public, it's going to fuck up their life. You're just a narcissist. I'm not doing this shit. All right. So the fact is, they pump you up with human growth hormones, and it totally affects the way that your body operates. So women out there, it's not fair to you. It's not fair to you. And while I fight for her equality, she just lied to your face. And you can say that I'm throwing her under the bus, but I don't even care if that's throwing her under the bus, because I love her enough to not let her lie to you. I'm not going to bring these things up on purpose. I don't want them to be the centerpiece of my content. I definitely love her. I do. And I love myself enough not to let her lie to others using my platform. I worked very hard to have the freedom and the confidence to tell the truth about life. And nobody's going to stop me from doing that, not even Kate. But if Kate wants to lie to protect herself against something that she doesn't need protection from, then what's she going to do when she's actually in danger? I've been hurt a lot too, but nobody cares about that. But I'm going to let you know, I don't need you to care about that, because I'm not in this for feelings. I'm not in this for my own feelings. I do care about my own feelings, but I care about yours too. And I care about you surviving enough to not let someone who is a very, very good liar tell you something that she said the exact opposite offline, saying how bad it was because it pumps your body with those drugs. And then she says to you that it would be a great act of love. Oh my God. I have to be like, there has to be something in myself where I have to admit to myself what I'm getting myself into. I do not want to be here with her anymore. I have mental health issues. No, I don't. I've gone through a lot of culture shock. I've had a lot of crap happen, but I don't have mental health issues. Not like permanent damage type stuff. I have a lot of social anxiety. I have a lot of fear having to do with past experiences, a lot of trauma, but I don't have everlasting trauma. At the moment she's doing that, no, yes, it's not a bipolar switch. It is, I am so heavily in my mind wanting to believe that she cares about the truth as much as I do. I want to believe that. I do want to believe that. But I think the biggest thing is she hasn't gone through as much pain as I have. So I think it's very hard for her to see how valuable the truth is. And so she's still willing to abuse it out of fear.
You'll also see a clip where he gaslights a person called Josh. Now, Josh was a person that James found on the internet, and they ended up living together with Caitlin. And Josh ended up paying their rent. He ended up paying for their food, their gas, everything. So you can see how manipulative James Soroka can be when he wants to be, that he's able to influence people in this way. He also, James and Caitlin had sold their cars for money, and he manipulated Josh into selling his car, even though Josh didn't want to sell his car. But eventually, Josh came home one day and James said, "Oh, I've got someone lined up to buy the car. It's going to be sold." Josh said that he felt, he didn't really have a choice. The car was basically being sold. And then Josh had to walk to work, which was under 4 miles there and 4 miles back. And he just did it. He put up with it. And that was it, And within that example, James gaslit Josh by trying to convince him that he, didn't care about himself and Caitlin because he wouldn't sell his car for money because they all needed money to live. And if he didn't do that, they're not going to be able to, buy food. Like, what kind of a person is he that they're going to do this to him? He's a horrible person for doing this, and yada, yada. When in reality, it's absolutely insane and ridiculous to ask someone to sell their car, even though they're the only person that has a job. And then they're going to have to walk up to 8 miles a day to get to their job. The job that gets the money for the food and the rent for everyone in the house. Like, it's crazy.
So was it true when you came home one day from work, they outvoted you, and it was a 2-1? It was a 2-1 vote to sell your car, and you came home one day and your car was gone?
No, well, what happened is before I moved up there, he was trying to get me to sell my car, and I kept telling him no, I wasn't going to sell it. But I kept telling him no, so I had it for about a month or so. And then, because we had 3 cars when I got up there, we had 3 cars, because I had one, and he had one, and Kate had one. Okay. And then about a month later, then on the way home, he says, "Come on home because we got somebody that wants to buy it." He had talked about selling the other 2 because we didn't really need them and so we sold the other 2. And then when I came home, he's like, "Well, I got someone who wants to buy the car." And I said, "What are you talking about?" sell the car. And then we got into this big argument, and pretty much I did because he was throwing it in there that if I didn't sell it, then we'd be homeless.
So you sold your car, and how much money did you get for your car? And then how did you survive after that? Like, I remember you loved that car because you finally paid it off, right? That was like your baby.
Yes, it took me about 6 or 7 years to pay it off. No, yeah, I ended up walking to work. Well, I took the bus for a while, and then it got too expensive to take the bus, so I just started walking.
Naturally, yeah. And I heard your walk to work was 5 miles there, 5 miles back.
It's about like 3.5 to 4 miles.
So it's about like a total of 8 to 10 miles a day.
Yeah, what I'd do is I had to be at work at 7, so I'd get up at 5 to leave because it took about like an hour and 5 minutes to get to work when I
Was it
walked.
still dark out when you woke up?
Yeah.
Oh, man, was that depressing for you at any point?
At the beginning, it was, yes.
One of the saddest things I've noticed in the live stream, people in the comment section actually join in the gaslighting with him of Kate. And it's so heartbreaking. People are agreeing with him and, saying, oh, she's just throwing a tantrum. And it's just like, oh my God, what the hell is wrong with you guys? And that's really scary because on a whole, it means when things are on these platforms or on the internet in real life time, that abuse is okay. And people aren't like mortified at it. People aren't telling him to stop. People are actually egging him on, which is... I need a drink.
Fairy says once she has a tantrum, she will probably feel better when she realizes it's dumb. Because it's about the feelings. Exactly. Because Katie and every other hater needs to feel good to pretend like their reality is okay. As though any of this is okay. It's not. And you don't need my permission to let you know it's not. It's not okay. None of it is. Be disrespectful and not expect the same. I know. I am always the one that's respectful first. I can tell you that. I continue to respect her by giving her the credibility to say that she can do a job. She genuinely takes my position that she is able to handle this as an insult. It's hard to break childhood trauma. You're brave to help her through adolescence. It's the most risky thing I've done in my whole life. And as she wants to give me praise for it, fuck you, Kate. I don't want your praise. I don't want your love right now because you're manipulating me and trying to manipulate them. Stop looking at me. I don't want your looks. I don't want you watching my screen. I genuinely want to block you. What is she doing? She's looking at me in some way, shape, or form just to say that she can. You're going to get kicked out. I'm going to call the police and let them know I'm abusing you. I'm going to invent the narrative where I'm abusive and intentionally incarcerate myself just to get you the fuck out of my life. Danny says, yeah, she needs to clearly say it out loud to the viewers about you wanting to be here.
And another manipulative tactic that he uses is to isolate the victims from the people they care about. So you can see that with Caitlin. She has no contact with her family or her friends anymore. They've been completely demonized by James. And, to a certain extent, who knows, maybe the relationship with her mum was so poor that maybe the mum was better out of her life. But that doesn't mean that every single person that she had known before is just cut out. And now the only person she has is James. That's toxic. And he also does this with Josh. So when Josh lived with him, or when they lived together, he would kind of implant ideas in Josh's head that Josh's parents were bad and that they didn't treat him right and that he shouldn't talk to them all the time. And, what are they doing calling him? And Josh sadly let this influence him again, because manipulation can be really insidious. It can be quite hard to combat when it's done to you in the time. And if you care about the person that's manipulating you, you will think their opinion is valid. You'll want to listen to what they have to say, and you'll probably start to believe it with gaslighting eventually.
The second or third day I got there, he went through we went through my telephone. He was telling, "Oh, you don't need this person. You don't need this person. Oh, well, who's this? So oh, you don't need this person," kind of thing. I mean, going through,
Control. He was trying to
yeah,
control you.
telling
Yeah.
me, who, oh, this person does this. You don't need
I
this.
know.
I'm like, no. So I mean, because I knew who I had and who I didn't. So
It's a control tactic, right?
yeah, but yeah. Oh no, he wanted. He was always saying that. Oh, they did this and this and that, and I said no, because he wanted me to say something. I said I'm not saying that. I'm not saying stuff. Oh, you need to cut these people. I said I'm not doing that. He was always trying that with me. I think that's
He
what
was
that's
trying to
one.
cut you off from your family.
Yes,
He was
and
trying to isolate you.
I did for a little while. I did for a little while because I was I mean, I would call home. About once a week, I would call home, just let him know what's going on and everything. And then he's like, "Well, I don't know why you're doing that." And I'm like, "Because no, they weren't there. They were never there for you." Pretty much, I guess the same thing he told her. They were never there for you. That I'll always be
Wow.
there and all that. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, whatever. And then I finally told him. I said, just leave me. I told my parents. I said, just leave me alone for a little bit. I said, I'll call you. I said, just let me. I want to work some stuff out. So, which is what I did. And I said that was one of the things that I learned. That was one of the things I learned. The major things that I learned was not to take people for granted.
So there were lots of other examples of other manipulation tactics and attempts to gain control over people, power plays. They don't necessarily fit under some of the categories. They're a bit more broad in general. So I thought I'd just kind of discuss them without a heading to it. But for example, when James was really tired, he had been doing live streaming for a while, a few hours or something. And he was so tired that he couldn't wipe his own ass after he went to the toilet. And you guessed it, you know who did it? Caitlin. He asked Caitlin to do it, and she did it. And to me, that just sounds like the ultimate control power play trip I think I've ever heard of, to humiliate someone in that way, to know that they're going to do that for you it's like, it's so degrading and demoralizing. It's really shocking. And although he was really tired, straight after she did this, straight after she wiped his ass, he then went on to live stream again. So he clearly wasn't that tired, which just shows the level of manipulation, that he wasn't, that tired that he couldn't do it. He just wanted to see if she would do it.
The grossest thing I've probably ever done is wipe someone else.
Talking about my... I'll volunteer that. Sometimes I would literally be so exhausted and destroyed, I could not wipe my own butt. Like, I literally could not muster the energy. And then I would get on a live stream just to try and make things work. I'm a good guy. Yeah. I make some mistakes, but you know what? Literally, I was an invalid. And I would still turn on that camera. And I would act like I would act like I'm okay. Like, I don't quit. Even when I go insane, I don't quit.
Another example is Josh with this guy that they had lived with. He used to drink Pepsi, but James didn't want him to drink Pepsi anymore. So Josh wasn't allowed to drink Pepsi. And Josh abided by this and didn't drink Pepsi, which is interesting. But that's what it's like when you're in the clutches of a manipulative person. Sometimes it can be so powerful that you can't see how abusive it is when you're in it. You just can't see it until you're out of it, and you can take a step back and be like, whoa, this was insane. And a reason why this specific one may have happened could be because manipulative people tend to see other people as extensions of themselves. In particular, narcissists tend to see other people as extensions of themselves. So if he doesn't drink Pepsi, that means the immediate people around him shouldn't be drinking Pepsi either, because they are him.
But yeah, I've never been a big eater, so.
But you loved Pepsi, right? And he would.
Yes, I love my Pepsi. Yes.
Yeah. And he wouldn't let you drink that, right?
No. Mm-mm.
And one more example of this, they had an argument, Josh and James, and Josh had left the house, and then James weed all over Josh's clothes, weed all over his clothes. And again, Josh came back. He was obviously annoyed, but accepted it. So again, something really degrading, really dehumanizing to urinate on someone's things, how little you think of them and how much you want that person to know how little you think of them.
So
Did he really pee on your clothes?
Oh, yes, that did happen.
He did.
Yeah. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
And why did he do that?
What had happened is because when I went up there, I took almost all of my stuff that I had.
Right.
I mean, I took almost everything, and I'm still saying to this day that he's jealous. And he's been jealous because
What?
I had stuff. Because I had stuff. I had the money to get stuff and get stuff that I wanted, and do the stuff I wanted. And so I went to work like I normally do, and I come home and we had the washing machine in the basement because I would always come home and then I would do my laundry almost every day.
Yeah,
So,
by the way, nobody deserves that.
So I went down. He's like, "Well, we need to go down in the basement." I said, "Okay." So we walked down there and walked in because it was you go down in the basement and then you go into another room. It had the two separate rooms. So we went in the other room and there was all my stuff, all my clothes on the floor, and a whole bunch of my stuff that I had. And he proceeded to talk to me and tell me that if I don't keep making the money, that this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be homeless. If I kept going the way I was going, I'd be on the street. I would have the dirty clothes. And he's like, "Don't bother washing them because I peed on them." And he sat there and he cut them up and destroyed all my clothes. I mean, they were ripped. I mean,
He
you couldn't.
cut them up too?
What was that?
He cut them up too?
Yes, put holes in the shirts and stuff like that, so they weren't salvageable to use. Even if I did clean them, they weren't salvageable. And he told me that was a lesson because if I ever became homeless, that's what would happen. If I was on the street, that something would happen, that my clothes would get torn like that.
Make it make sense. And one more example of this is a live stream that he's doing with Kate in the background. And Kate, God love her, hasn't done anything. He is just gaslighting her to the max. And he doesn't allow her to look at him in the camera. So, they're both watching the screen or whatever, and she's looking at him through the screen, and he's like, "Don't look at me, don't look at me." And she has to turn around, turn away and not look him in the eye. And that happens quite a few times. And again, she accepts it, she takes it, because she thinks that that's what she deserves. She thinks someone can speak to her like that. She thinks that that's okay. And it's just so sad. You just want to reach through and grab her and take her out of there.
Stop looking at me. I don't want your looks. I don't want you watching my screen. I genuinely want to block you. What is she doing? She's looking at me in some way, shape, or form just to say that she can. You're going to get kicked out. I'm going to call the police and let them know I'm abusing you.
He will often put Kate down, call her horrible words. He will demean her. He will basically do anything he can to try to make her feel like she's a lot less than him, like she is not worth his time. And he is this best person ever for allowing her to be in his life. For example, someone in the live chat, a woman is talking to James, and James is like, "Oh, I really like, this girl X, Y, whatever her name is." He's like, "Oh, she seems really positive." And then he says, "Oh, maybe you could be a mentor for Kate because she needs a positive female role model in her life. She needs a mentor, female mentor." It's just oh my God, who does he think he is? And, it's just such an abusive relationship that she takes it again. She's like, "Oh yeah, I need a mentor." And it's oh my God, you don't need a mentor. You just need to not be in this relationship.
Well, it depends on Kate's perspective. I will tell you what, my phone number is public. You are more than welcome to text me. Kate will get the text. you're more than welcome to send me a text. And your wisdom is more than welcome, because Katie definitely needs a female mentor. 100% needs a female mentor. Now, understand, I will be monitoring everything. So be very careful with your words, because I'm smart enough to protect her from people in the audience who want to lead her astray to her own demise, or to my demise. Usually, it has to do with my demise, not yours, Kate. But they will use you to get to me. And that's why I'm trying to teach you how to be so strong right now.
He also says things often to purposely really hurt her, like, and I'm sure they're complete fabrications, like her mum had came on to him.
Mother is a harlot, because with elephant titties, she hit on me in her own living room. Okay? She helped me with my college project because she was turned on and then insulted her husband. Is this what you want? Katie, it's not what I want either. So why are we doing it? For you. Yes. Yes, we are all trolling you. But Katie, listen to me. Listen to me and look at me. What's the difference between them and me? I am the only one being completely honest with you. Would someone who is only trolling you tell you they're trolling you?
Or her dad is a liar, like a pathological liar, and she's just like him. And yeah, that she doesn't take any ownership for anything ever, and he needs to teach her how to do this because he's so much better than her. And one common theme that you'll see with these two guys is the continuous breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. And it's I don't think I've heard of one time where she's done it. He threatens to break up with her, and he does break up with her, which goes into the idealize, devalue, discard. Idealize, devalue, discard. So that goes around and around and around. And you can see in the videos where they get back together, you can see when she's being love bombed, which is basically just giving her loads of attention, loads of affection. And she's much happier. She's smiling. She's like talking to the camera. He's not being super controlling or anything like that. Not yet anyways. And then the difference between those videos and videos when she's in the devaluing stage are like just miles apart. Her brain essentially gets addicted to the release of dopamine from this love bombing phase, and then it drops down when she gets to value and discarded, and then up again, love bombing down, up, and your brain actually gets chemically addicted to this in the same way that it does for class A drugs, believe it or not. And this goes on to form something called trauma bonding, which is why it is incredibly difficult to end these toxic relationships. It's not as easy as, oh, why doesn't she just break up with him? It's not that easy. If it was, she would, There's lots of other things to take into consideration, like her childhood, why she accepts this. If this is kind of what's been modeled to her and she's manipulated to such a degree, she's not all of a sudden just going to go, oh, okay, I deserve more than this. And last one, I promise. Another way where he tries to manipulate the viewers, which is really interesting. If he gets negative comments in the live chat, he'll turn them off and he'll like scold the viewers and be like, oh, okay, well, when everyone's ready to be positive again, I'll turn back on the comments. And then he'll wait a certain amount of time and he's like, okay, well, hopefully everyone's positive, because if they're not, I'm going to turn these off again and you're all going to be good children and listen to what I say. That's literally what it's like. He is trying to control everyone around him, even the viewers, by treating them as if they were kids. Honestly, it would be hilarious if it wasn't so abusive. Oh, I need a drink.
Okay, here's the deal. I'll keep telling the story. I feel comfortable now. I feel comfortable to tell the story. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the comments on. And depending whether or not what I see is going to decide whether or not I keep talking about this. All right? I'm going to turn them on now. So you guys decide, and we'll see what happens. Whoa. All right, so yes or not? Where are we at?
And the last thing I wanted to talk about is, in particular, James has been involved in lots of scams. So he scammed a lot of people online out of money. He's met up with people that have lifelong illnesses and started GoFundMe pages to support them, only for them to never see him or any dime from this GoFundMe. Then he shuts them down, takes the money. And he's also got Caitlin involved in some of these scams as well, which I'm in two minds about. It's hard to know what to think about that because I think she's so abused at this point. I'm sure she's scared of him. I would be scared of him with the way he speaks to her. It would be hard not to do what he says. In that regard, you kind of have to extend empathy for her because I know some people will think, oh, she knows what she's doing. But I don't think it's as simple as that. I'll play the clip of the girl that he went to meet who had Crohn's disease.
And so you started, how did you get on Periscope? Because I don't think we've talked about that.
When I was in, like I said, I had a month-long stay. I was really bored, and I just heard about something you can go live on and people talk to you, so I downloaded it, and I started my own live, and then people would ask questions and start following me and caring about what was going on, and that's why Jimmy got invested in it.
Did you know that he was going to come visit you at the hospital, like, prior? Like, did you have advance notice?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
he talked to me for like a few hours, and then said he was really interested in my story, and then he flew down within 24 hours.
Within a day?
Dear Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so you're sick in the hospital, and you meet him. Did you feel, like, uncomfortable? I mean, I think you probably would, but, I mean, how do you feel? I'm not going to assume.
I mean, he's not the first person that wanted to interview me about Crohn's and spread Crohn's awareness, so I was pretty open about it and happy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be something good, but it wasn't. I mean, after the second day is when I started getting a bunch of red flags from him, from the stuff he would say.
Mm-hmm. What kind of things did he say? Like, what was something that you can think of that kind of was just off-putting to you or weird?
Well, after the second day, he helped me with all my social media. I started getting more views than him, and it was just like 300. I'm like, I thought you were famous.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I get more views than you? Because he said he was famous.
He said he was famous.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so he's a famous Periscoper that went to go visit you.
Yeah, he said the same thing. I'm peace. I spread peace and positivity, and I just want to come help you and spread Crohn's awareness and get you more viewers and help you with your social media. And I was like, okay. But yeah, after the second day, he told me he was jealous of how many viewers I got, and it's just because I'm a woman and I have a pretty face. And then he started getting really jealous about my boyfriend. And then when he was gone, he would tell me that he believes that you should be with more than one person when you're in a relationship, because if you're not, then you don't know who you really want to be with. And like, that's not how I roll. And he literally grabbed me and kissed me without even asking.
Okay.
He just grabbed my waist, pulled me to him, and kissed me. And the door is open, the nurses are around and everything. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna look like a player. I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And,
Were you laying in the hospital bed when that happened?
no, I forgot what I walked up to do, but I was walking back to my bed, and then he just grabbed me and kissed me.
So at what point did he leave? Did you ask him to leave? Did you want him to leave?
I wanted him to leave, but here's the thing, like, in my childhood, I've been through so much, and family has done stuff to me, and when I spoke up about it, no one cared.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much stuff that's happened to me, and no one cared. So, around the time, I just didn't speak up. I just let things slide because I thought no one would do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it was stupid of me. I should have told him to leave.
It's not stupid. Like, when you go through abuse, and you and I talked like a little bit beforehand, it kind of, it changes you. people get away with a lot more things because you're just used to it.
Another example of many is also with Josh. So as well as, you know, Josh paying the rent and the food and selling his car, he also got into about $6,000 or $7,000 worth of debt because he was paying off James's debt. So that just goes to show the level of manipulation that this guy is capable of. Once he finds the right vulnerable type of victim, like bam, he's got them. Basically, it's going to be very difficult for them to get out of that.
Josh makes enough for all of our bills, including my debt, and not his own. He is going bankrupt just to cover my debts so he can help me take care of my life.
There's actually an entire page on TikTok. I think it's called Soroka Awareness Team. And it's basically dedicated to all of the scams that he has done, to like revealing them and exposing them. So yeah, check that out if you have TikTok. And an update on them now. People think that Caitlyn might be pregnant, which is sad, I think, because there's going to be a child brought into that abusive environment. And it also means that Caitlyn is going to feel even more so attached to this man, which is going to make it a lot harder for her to be able to leave. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to have to stop it there. There's so much more that I could talk about, but these videos take so long to edit. It is the most underestimated thing ever. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And if you need to hear it today, you are worth it and you are valued and you have a place on this earth. It feels really weird saying that with wine in my hand, but it's true. And lastly, cheers. Ah, that's good squishy.
Whoa, that's good squishy.